I'm Hank Philippi Ryan, author of The House Guest, and I'm here to remind you that you are strong, but when you help someone else, you get even stronger.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Coburn, author of Cradle to the Right, standing with Kristin Harmel and her many, many author friends and readers in urging you to get your mammogram. Schedule it today because these life-saving screenings can help us women weather any storm.
Hi, this is Janie Chang, author of The Porcelain Moon. Please remember to look after yourselves. Then you're better able to look after the ones you love.
I'm Jill Santopolo, the author of The Light We Lost and Stars in an Italian Sky, and I'm here to remind you that the world is a better place with you in it.
Hi, I'm Nancy Thayer, author of All the Days of Summer. Remember, you are loved and you are stronger than you know.
Hi, I'm Rachel McMillan, the author of Operation Scarlet, releasing December 3rd, and I'm here to remind you that there's only one of you in the entire world.
Hi, I'm Susie Ormanstahl, author of We Came Here to Shine, and I'm here to remind you that you are physically and mentally stronger than you can even imagine.
Adventures by the Book's virtual breast cancer fundraising adventure. I'm Kristin Harmel, and we'll be getting started in just a few minutes. I am so very honored to be joined tonight by more than 60 fellow authors, all uniting for a cause. So kick back, relax, and get ready for a night of celebration as we talk about the strength within us all. We'll start in just about 3 minutes at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And in the meantime, I hope you will enjoy these little reminders from some of my and your favorite authors.
Hi friends, Christy Whitson Harvey here, reminding you to schedule your mammogram in honor of my dear friend, Kristin Harmel.
Now go schedule your mammogram. It might save your life, just like it saved mine.
Hi everybody, Mary Kay Andrews here with an important message. I'm here to remind everybody to get your mammogram. Take care of your girls so that your girls can take care of you.
Schedule your mammogram, you guys. It is so important. Schedule your mammogram. And if you're not due for one yet, talk to your doctor about getting a clinical breast exam.
My mother lost her best friend to breast cancer, and I lost my mother to cancer. Both were nurses. Please, I urge you, our mothers, grandmothers, sisters, best friends, and caregivers to schedule your mammogram today and to stay up to date on all of your recommended screenings. They save lives.
Schedule your mammogram.
Don't forget to schedule your mammogram today.
Schedule your mammogram.
Schedule your mammogram.
Schedule your mammogram.
Hey, schedule that mammogram. It's important because you're important.
Schedule that mammogram now.
Schedule your mammogram.
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 Schedule that mammogram now.
Schedule your mammogram.
Schedule your mammogram.
Schedule your mammogram.
Go get a mammogram.
Hi, my name is Lisa Scottolini, and I'm the author of, I think, like 35 or 36 novels. And every time I have to think about what makes a hero. You know what's a hero to me? Kristin Harmel, my author friend whom I love and adore and whose books I love and adore. Ladies, she has turned this into a cause for you to get a mammogram. So please go out and get your mammogram. I do, and you should too.
All right, here we are. Can you hear us, Kristin?
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, welcome everybody, and bear with us as we there's a lot of moving parts to get this started. Once we get started, it should go nice and smoothly. So we're going to go ahead and get started, I think. Are we ready, Kristin?
We are ready. It's going to be so much fun. We're looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. So hello, everyone, and welcome to our Susan G. Komen fundraising adventure by the book in honor of our lovely literary friend, Kristin Harmel. I'm Susan Macbeth, founder and owner of Adventures by the Book. And for those of you who aren't familiar with us, we are not a bookstore per se, although we do sell books. Our specialty is creating unique literary experiences and travels around the world that connect people through the superpower of books. And it just so happens that it was one of those adventures where I first met Kristin 4 years ago aboard the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California for our first ever Superbook adventure. And by the way, Kristin, just letting you know that we're going to hold a place for you at Superbook 5 in San Diego next February, because you are definitely someone that we want to root for. And I'm not the only one who feels that way. When I first approached Kristin with the concept for this event, we had no idea it would grow into this lovely monstrosity of over 70 authors and over 1,400 readers, all of whom have committed to getting their mammograms. So thanks to all of you for being here today. And what inspired me is that Kristin is brave and selfless enough to take her breast cancer experience public to encourage all of you to get your mammograms. And that takes an extraordinary amount of strength and spirit. We do all possess the strength within us to get through difficult times and to inspire others. Just watch this message that Kristin posted on January 4th that inspired me, and see, you'll agree with me.
Hi there, friends. I have some news I'd like to share with you today. Back at the end of October, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had a lumpectomy in early November. It's stage 1, but the tumor turned out to be a bit more aggressive than we'd hoped. So I've had to start chemotherapy too. I had my first infusion the week before Christmas, and I'll be in treatment through late spring. I'm sharing this with you for a few reasons. One, I've had to cancel several events, and I wanted you to understand why. I also want you to know, because I intend to keep up with the weekly Friends and Fiction show that I love so much, as best I can. And as I progress through chemo, you may see me looking differently in the coming weeks. But the most important reason I would like to share this news with you is this. I'm 43. I don't have any relevant family history. There was no reason to think that this would happen to me, particularly at such a young age. And I didn't feel the lump myself. It was found in my standard annual mammogram. And because I went in for that mammogram, the tumor was found early enough that it hadn't yet spread. I'm so thankful for that. So if you take one thing away from what I'm saying today, I hope it's this. If you are overdue for your annual mammogram or any type of screening test, please call your doctor and schedule it today. These tests are there to save our lives. And I can honestly tell you that if I had not gotten my mammogram on time, there is a very good chance that this cancer would have spread, and I'd be facing a much more challenging situation today. So if you want to show your support for me, the best thing you can do is to make sure you're getting checked. And please encourage your friends to do so too. For more information on mammograms or how you can access them if you're uninsured or underinsured, Susan G. Komen has some great resources, and I'll post them beneath this video. So many of you know that I have a new book coming out this year in June called The Paris Daughter. After my diagnosis, I did a lot of thinking about what I could do that could make some kind of a difference, even if it's a small difference. And what I decided to do was to donate a percentage of my advance for that book to Susan G. Komen, the wonderful organization that addresses breast cancer on multiple fronts in order to make the biggest impact against this disease. Half of my donation will go toward funding mammograms for those who are uninsured or underinsured, and the other portion will go toward research. I've also made a donation to the Florida Cancer Specialists Foundation to help cancer patients with non-medical costs as they undergo cancer treatment. I've made those donations in the name of all of you, the readers who have shown up to support me. Speaking of which, thank you so much for that support. It has lifted me up during these difficult times, and I am more grateful than ever to readers like you who have read my books, sent me kind notes, or simply interacted with me on social media or as members of Friends and Fiction. Thank you for all the ways in which you've made me and my books a part of your lives. You'll forever be a part of mine. Now go get those mammograms.
Wow. That's a lot of courage packed into a tiny package. Now it is my honor to welcome Paula Schneider, the CEO of Susan G. Komen, to tell you a little bit about the work Susan G. Komen is doing and how your donation can help. As a reminder, I will be donating 20% of all Adventures by the Book book sales from this event to Susan G. Komen all through the month of March. And you can also make a donation of your own on Kristin's Komen fundraising page. Paula, welcome. And we just need you to have you turn your camera on.
Well, I think you have to let me because I'm
Okay.
able to start, but I
Okay.
will be, I'm here.
All right, here we go. All right, now we can bring you on.
There we are, there we are.
Welcome. And we'd love you to tell us a little bit about the work that Susan G. Komen is doing and the impact we can make by everyone donating tonight.
Yeah, and thank you. I mean, this is an amazing turnout, and Kristin, thank you for stepping up, because, you know, it takes a village. And I couldn't be more excited to join all of you today. You know, when I first got the call that Kristin wanted to partner with Komen, and this is a true story, I was actually in the middle of reading the Book of Lost Names, okay? So I wasn't reading it, I was listening it to my audiobook, but I was in the middle of it, and I thought, what an honor and what fate. I mean, that's supposed to happen. And now to see the entire author community here today, I'm just so moved by the support system that you guys provide for each other. And much like the work that you do as writers, storytelling is so very important to our work at Komen. And sharing your breast cancer experience, which is, you know, they're the good, because you have amazing people that step up and do things like this that you would never know. And the bad and the ugly alike not only bonds our community together, but it helps people to find the right resources and support. And I'm a breast cancer myself, and my mom died of metastatic breast cancer. And I have 2 grown daughters, so I'm in it to win it. Yeah. And I experienced firsthand the comfort and the power of storytelling when it comes to illness and life and death and grief. And of course, the joy of finding strength to pull through it all, because you have to put one foot in front of the other and just make it through. And for the best breast cancer community, Komen is an incredibly safe place for anyone to turn so that no one has to face this alone. It includes endless resources. We have an amazing helpline, our financial assistance program. We have our advocacy work, and of course, our research. And Komen has had its fingerprints on every major breakthrough that's happened in research over the past 40 years. And we are the only way that we're going to create a world without breast cancer. That's through research. And it's actually through cash, because cash funds research. And that is the only way that we're going to find cures. And we have made a lot of progress in the last 40 years since the founding of Komen. In fact, our work helped to reduce breast cancer mortality by about 42% in the US since 1989. And we also invest more money in breast cancer research than any other nonprofit. And this support has led to more than, we have about 3,000 research discoveries that we have funded that unlock new knowledge and advance our care for breast cancer. But this is our story, and it's not over yet. We still have a lot of work to do. And today, all of you who are on this call are bringing us one step closer to a world without breast cancer. First, by helping fund mammograms for the uninsured and the underinsured. And yes, because early detection helps as a key to survival. And second, you're helping fund groundbreaking research so that no one has to lose more time or loved ones to this disease. And ladies, you know, you heard everyone say, go out and get your mammograms. And there has been a significant decline of women that have not gotten their mammograms through COVID. And if you happen to be one of them, and there's lots out there, put your big girl panties on and go. You got to do it. And I can't thank you enough for your support of Kristin. And it's so heartwarming to see this, and of each other and of Komen. We're honored to take on this challenge with you, because after all, it takes a village, and we are really, truly stronger together. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Paula, and thank you for the work you do at Susan G. Komen for raising awareness. And thanks to Kristin, because 1,400 women have committed to getting their mammograms as part of this event. So now we want to introduce the person of the hour, of course, is our lovely Kristin Harmel, New York Times bestselling author of more than a dozen novels that have been translated into more than 30 languages. And she also has a new book coming out this June, which hundreds of you have pre-ordered. Thank you very much for that, The Paris Daughter. Kristin has a few words to share with you, and then we're going to go ahead and dive in. So welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Susan. And thank you, Paula. That was just a beautiful opening. And it was so great to hear about everything Komen's doing. Susan, Debbie behind the scenes, Amber behind the scenes, I cannot begin to tell you how grateful I am to you for having the idea for this event and for working so hard to put together something that really exceeds my wildest dreams. So I really do hope tonight that all of you out there watching will be moved, most of all, to stay up to date with your mammograms. And secondly, to be reminded of the fact that we all have the capacity to find strength in difficult times. And as Paula mentioned, please do consider a donation to Komen tonight, whether it's directly to Komen or whether it's in the form of purchasing one of these wonderful books that you hear about tonight. But speaking about wonderful books, I would like to introduce you to three writers many of you already know, my three Friends in Fiction co-hosts, New York Times bestselling authors Mary Kay Andrews, Kristy Woodson Harvey, and Patty Callahan Henry, who have been three of my rocks through this journey since day one. Ladies, can you come on? Let's see. Hey, Patty.
Hi.
Hey, Mary Kay.
Hey.
Hey, Kristy.
Hi,
All right. So,
Kristin.
hey, ladies, I am so glad you joined us. So many viewers out there tonight may know all of us, the four of us from Friends in Fiction, the online web show and community we founded together at the beginning of the pandemic. Of course, we do a live show every Wednesday on Facebook and YouTube, featuring a different author or authors every week. And our Friends in Fiction Facebook group is now more than 125,000 members strong. One of my favorite things about this community we've built is that it is such a positive place. It's all about lifting each other up and finding joy and connection in books. Can you tell me a little bit about why that is so important to you? Kristy, what do you think?
Well, I think that when we started this community, we already knew that book people were the best people, right?
True.
But it's interesting because this just hit me right now when you were talking, but I feel like Friends in Fiction is something that started because we were all in a place where we needed community and we needed connection. And so many people found that community and that connection during the pandemic. And we continue to need that, and you're a really good example of that, of how having this community to rally around us when we're having difficult times and, when we need each other the most. I think that's been maybe one of the most unexpected things that have come out of this community, because I certainly didn't go into it thinking, oh, we're going to have, 150,000 new best friends.
Yes, that's what it feels like though, isn't it? Absolutely. How about you, Mary Kay?
At the beginning of the pandemic, I think we all felt so alone. We didn't know where to turn. And so we just turned to each other. And then the group of us turned out to you all. We turned out to the readers out there, and you give us so much more than we give you. And we've heard over and over again from members of our book community, from the Friends in Fiction community, that they look forward to Wednesday nights and it's their time. They tell their husband, get your own dinner. And they tell the kids, put everything on mute, unplug everything.
So many people were commenting even before you said that dinner can wait. It's time for Friends in
Fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, so it's been remarkable. And I have to say personally, Friends in Fiction got me through a tough time this past year. I lost my daughter to COVID.
Yeah.
And how do you take it?
Okay. Oh, great. Thanks. Appreciate that.
No,
Go ahead, Kristin. I'm going to give you
Patty,
a second.
Mary Kay, I'm so glad that we were able to be there for you. It's interesting because I watched from the outside as the community lifted you up last year, and never knowing that I would experience a very similar amount of support this year. But you're right. Readers, as Kristy said, readers, the best people, you're all the best. So Patty, my question for you is a little bit different because you and I have something in common. You have also survived breast cancer. We are actually coming up on your 10-year anniversary this summer, and you have been with me every step of the way. I mean, moral support, but also getting me into doctor's appointments to get second opinions. And you've helped me in so many ways. Can you tell me how your own battle with cancer changed you?
Yeah, I can, but I'm going to tap real quick that you asked about, what Friends in Fiction meant. And it occurred to me that it grew out of a need.
Yeah.
That we saw, the same as this event grew out of a need. And when you have this need, whether it's for a reading community or cancer research, right? Like the minute that you gather a writing community, you better hold on to your horse, man. It's gonna go running off, right? We know where to reach out to, but cancer changed me obviously in incalculable ways. It's been almost a decade. It will be in June. And I think that the biggest thing is that it reorganizes. And I think you're just beginning to see this, Kristin, because we talked about it, but it begins to reorganize. And same with what Kathy went through, Mary Kay went through. It reorganizes your priorities, right? What the things that felt so important just aren't, right? And so my absolute devotion to the things that matter most is what has changed the most, to be unapologetically who I am, to care unapologetically about the things I care about, and not to pretend I care about things I don't, and to be brave in my choices and my decisions. And it's not a change that happens overnight, just like cancer didn't happen overnight. Cancer grows over years and change happens over years.
So true.
Oh, we are happy that you are all there every Wednesday night, and our hearts are with you, Mary Kay. All three of you, along with Kristin, have big new releases coming out this year, which is very exciting. Patty's The Secret Book of Flora Lee is out in May. Christie's The Summer of Songbirds is out in July. And Mary Kay's Bright Lights Big Christmas is out in September. Patty, could you quickly tell us about your main character, Hazel, and how she summons the inner strength in The Secret Book of Flora Lee?
Oh, do you have all night? No, I'm kidding.
I'm gonna get about 10 seconds.
I know I have less than 10 seconds and I'm only going to take 10. I think that Hazel is the perfect example of a character who harbors a dark secret and carries around unnecessary guilt. And she has to find the bravery, even if it blows up her life, to tell the truth. Essentially, the only way through the dark is, unfortunately, through the dark.
Oh, and sorry. How about you? I'm already missing cues, Susan. I'm already screwing it up. How about you, Mary Kay?
Yeah. In my most recent book, the protagonist, in my most recent book, The Homewreckers, the protagonist, Hattie, is a young widow whose she's put her life on hold, on pause, after her husband's untimely death. But it's only when she finds a new challenge that she discovers the courage to finally move on with her life and fully embrace change and maybe find love again.
And Christy, how about you? First of all, congratulations. The Wedding Veil is out in paperback today. I hope a lot of you are pre-ordering that. And just a reminder, all these books, even though they're not published yet, are available for pre-order on our form that you can get on our website, and 20% will be donated to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. But can you tell us, Christy, how your characters find their strength?
You know what? I was actually going to talk about The Wedding Veil, but as I'm sitting here, I really feel like The Summer of Songbirds is so applicable to tonight, because it's about this group of 4 women who come together to save something that they love, something that changed their life, which in this case is their summer camp, which seems a little trite, but they've gone through some really major battles together, from, addiction to single parenthood to financial hardship to bad haircuts. I mean, everything, and they've sort of found that when they have a common goal, they're pretty unstoppable. And so that's, something that I really want readers to take away. And I think it's something that I didn't realize, but maybe that's subconsciously affected. Maybe we subconsciously wrote this book, guys. I think that's
with our one brain.
I'll be expecting my royalty check. I'll be expecting the royalty check.
All right, ladies, thank you so much for being here tonight. As a reminder to all of you out here, this is Christie's launch date for the paperback of The Wedding Veil. You can order that book through Susan. 20% goes to Susan G. Komen. And ladies, I will see you tomorrow night on Friends in Fiction as we welcome Julia Kelly and Jennifer Rossner, both of whom will be here tonight too. Now, for a brief word from another breast cancer survivor, the incredible Ellen Hildebrand, followed by a live chat with #1 New York Times bestselling author Louise Penny. Thanks, ladies.
We love you. We're proud of you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ellen Hildebrand, and I'm so happy to be joining you virtually. I've been a friend of Kristen's for several years, and I am so proud of her on her breast cancer journey and so in awe and inspired by her. I also underwent my own journey with breast cancer in 2014 and 2015. I underwent a double mastectomy and had some complications that ended up to me losing 3 breasts that year, which is a story for another day. As far as finding strength within ourselves, I really found my own strength during my own battle in daily discipline. So I got up every morning and I went for a walk. I was in the middle of writing a novel called The Rumor. And I worked on my novel every day, and I just focused on daily tasks, and bit by bit, I got through it. And I think that's how women find strength, is just by keep on keeping on. So anyway, I want to say thank you guys for joining Kristin, supporting her in her journey, and please, please, please schedule your mammogram. Early detection is key.
And give us just a minute to adjust that camera. All right, Mary Kay, we're saying goodbye to you. And we're saying hello to Louise Penny. There she is.
Louise,
Now
so
it is our distinct honor to welcome Louise Penny, the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the Inspector Gamache series and the co-author of State of Terroir, which she wrote with
Terror.
Hillary.
Sorry, that was
Terror-
my typo. Terror.
I just realized State of Terror.
Bilingual. Terroir.
Oh my gosh, which she wrote with Hillary Clinton. Her latest is A World of Curiosities, the 18th in her Inspector Gamache series. We're honored to have you here. Welcome, Louise Penny.
Oh, I'm having so much fun. I could have listened to the 4 of you and Ellen, of course, how lovely and articulate. You guys are just wonderful. And happy International Women's Day, Eve.
Absolutely. Yes. It's so
just
perfect that we're
tomorrow.
doing this now. Thank you, Louise. And I wanted to say on a personal note, I'm so happy you're joining us because, you were one of the first people I told about my diagnosis. I mean, one of the first author friends. And it was because you were a guest of ours on Friends in Fiction. And it was my last episode that I was doing before I went in and started chemotherapy. And it was such an uplifting, inspiring episode. And I emailed you afterwards just to say that that had meant something to me. And you began emailing me every like week or so just to check on me, which I thought was it just spoke so highly of who you are as a human being. So I wanted to say that, and that just meant a lot to me. But we are talking about strength tonight. And when I think of your Inspector Gamache, I think not only of personal strength, but also of the fact that his strength comes from a deep place of goodness and of trying to do the right thing. So tonight, I would love for you to talk a little bit about what strength means to you, both as a writer and as a human being.
Yeah, that's a great question, isn't it? And I love the discussion earlier about the fact that, that strength, or at least in my case too, didn't just sort of appear fully blown. I didn't come out of the womb strong. That is for sure. I came out afraid. I came out pretty darn sure I was a victim, which is really kind of a miraculous perception to have, given that I had every advantage. I had a loving family. I'm born in a democracy. I'm born in Canada. I had every, I had my health. And yet somehow I still clung to this perception that I was being hard done by. And as a result, I spent much of my young adult life trying to get out of doing anything difficult. So I would squirm out of things and I would come up with excuses and I anything to get out of it. And I thought I was being so clever because for the most part, I managed it. What I didn't realize is that along that route comes a complete lack of self-esteem. No self-respect can flourish in that atmosphere. And so I find something had to change. And what I realized was that I had to start becoming, a complete lack of self-respect is a difficult thing to live with. I had to become the sort of person I wanted to hang around with, because I was 35. I wasn't even halfway through my life. And I did not want to be around myself. And that's a problem. And so I started doing the difficult thing. And little by little, I regained that self-respect, and I gained that inner strength. And so that when the big thing happened, I was up to it. And it goes to what you were all saying before too, that it's also about simplicity and focus. You know, I can't be strong if I am spreading myself too thin and trying to please everybody and everything. It's about understanding in my life what is important, and doing the next right thing. So that's kind of where the inner strength comes from. It comes actually from a place of initial weakness.
And how do you think that finding your own inner strength has shaped your writing?
That's a really good question. There's a line from I quote a lot of poetry, and I realize that could be pretty obnoxious, but never mind. Here it comes. A line from Auden's Elegy to Yeats, and in it he said that mad Ireland hurt him into poetry, which I love, because in those 6 or 7 words, you learn everything you need to know about Ireland, about Yeats, and about poetry. And I had to be hurt into my writing. I had to experience enough pain in order to be able to write what I write, and to own it, and to own all the weakness and the less savory parts of myself. So I think that's really where it comes from, that I understand what a gift goodness is. And the books are about goodness and the understanding that goodness exists, because I understand what the opposite is as well, because I've been that, I've been there, and I've been that.
Well, thank you so much, Louise. I knew you would be full of wonderful insight, as you always are. It was such a pleasure to see you. We are so touched and honored that you joined us. I wish we had 20 minutes to talk to every author. I feel like we're going to spend the whole night like shoving these people I want to have like in-depth conversations with off screen. But
I
Louise,
love this.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. So
Thank you, Louise.
thank you. So next
Honor.
up, we would love to welcome 3 incredible New York Times bestselling authors I'm proud to call friends: Sadiqa Johnson, Susan Elizabeth Phillips, and Martha Hall Kelly. Welcome, ladies.
Can I be Louise Penny's best friend? The heck with
I
you,
know.
Kristin.
No, this spot's taken. It's me.
Oh my goodness, Kristin, you look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. You do too. So welcome,
Yes.
ladies. Thank you so much for being here. So Sadiqa, I know you have a brand new New York Times bestseller, The House of Eve, which also happened to be the Reese Book Club pick for February. No big deal. That's amazing. Seriously, I'm so excited for you. Martha, you have, of course, my gosh, it's amazing. Martha, you have The Golden Doves coming April 18th, which I loved. I'm so excited about. And Susan, you are both one of the most prolific writers I know, and one of my favorites as a writer, as a human being, everything. Can each of you tell us briefly something about one of your characters discovering strength in a difficult time? Sadiqa, can you start us off?
Absolutely. So The House of Eve is my latest novel, as Kristen mentioned. And the character that came first was Ruby. Ruby is how the story starts. And she is an underprivileged 15-year-old, very smart girl, but she has the stacks against her, so to speak. And the story starts off with her really trying really hard to get to her enrichment program. And this enrichment program is going to give her a scholarship that's going to get her to college. It's the only way. And in the very first scene, she realizes that she does not have car fare to get bus fare to get to the program. And she is put into a situation where she's with her mother's boyfriend. And the only way to get the money is that he asks her for a kiss. And so this is something that sort of weighs down on her through the whole story. So she has to overcome her circumstances. She has to overcome, being unwanted by her mother and this encounter with her boyfriend. And so she's constantly having to overcome something to prove herself. And she's so young in the story. But I think when you get to know Ruby, you are absolutely rooting for her the whole time.
Yeah, you absolutely are. I completely agree. How about you, Martha? Can you tell us about a character who finds strength?
Sure. I need to show you the cover of the book in order to show you the character. But Golden Doves is about 2 best friends, and Josie Anderson is an American, and like most of the characters in my books, she ends up sadly at a concentration camp. The other character, Arlette, loses her son at the camp, sadly, and but Josie loses her mother, and I think she's the one. That, I mean, it's hard to really compare those two things, but I think Josie's the one that really goes through the worst time afterwards, just from the guilt of it. And she has a lot to overcome, as all my characters always do. I think that's me trying to, work through my own things to overcome. But yeah, in the end, of course, things do get better for her, but it's a long journey.
Yep, absolutely. And how about you, Susan? Can you tell us about a character who finds strength?
Can I do a sidebar first? We've been
Please.
talking a lot about mammograms, and I'm always up to date at mammograms, every year, right on schedule, on my calendar. But what I forget is breast self-exam when I'm in the shower. It's so hard for me to remember to do that. So this is just a reminder. I think a lot of us have kind of a problem with that. When you're in the shower and you're soaping up, just give it a little rub and see where you are. In terms of your question, though, all of my books I love the journey of a woman to find her strength. And that's one of the reasons I write these really macho heroes, because they become one more obstacle for the heroine. And in my last book, When Stars Collide, Olivia Shore is the #1 opera superstar diva. And boy, was that a stretch for me to write about. And but she's got this secret. She's really afraid to confront her fears. And I think that's something all of us deal with, what our fears are and the ways we work around them, by overeating, by turning on the television, by picking up our phones. And she's playing in a bigger landscape than that. But that's a theme that I really enjoy writing with all of my characters.
Well, I love that. Now, I loved that book. I love all three of these books that we're talking about. Before we let you go, ladies, do you have any quick words of wisdom that you want to impart to our audience about finding their own inner strength? Anybody? Martha?
Oh God, I'm the worst person to talk to because I have no inner strength. I've been honestly,
That is not true.
I
That's
have
not
honestly
true.
been crying since Lisa Scottolini came on. Honestly, and all I have is a sock, and I've been trying to dab. But anyway, I think what I think my characters have taught me is that you can't just keep things bottled up. You have to talk about them and be vulnerable. And I hate doing that sometimes, but I think that's the secret.
Yep, that is great advice. How about you, Susan?
One step at a time. If you have to eat a frog one bite at a time, or an elephant, or whatever that saying is, I think sometimes just looking at challenges that are so big becomes overwhelming. So just one step at a time.
Great advice. And how about you, Sadiqa?
I would say be quick to forgive. I think oftentimes we hold on to grudges. We're mad at family members. We're not talking to them for 2-3 weeks at a time. No one is promised tomorrow. And always remember that forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is more for you than it is for the person. It'll free you up in ways that you cannot even imagine. So forgive.
That is such a great point. Well, thank you all three so much. Again, I wish we could keep you for the next 20 minutes, but it was so great to see you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And next up, we will be hearing from best-selling authors Laura Dave and Kate Quinn, and then New York Times best-selling author Karen Cleveland, who also happens to be my real-life sister. Who knew that? Will be joining us live. We'll see you back live in just a second.
Hi, I just wanted to congratulate Kristin on your new book. That is so exciting. And one thing that always helps me find strength in difficult times is reading. And I'm so grateful for Kristin and her wonderful books like Italian for Beginners, which I highly recommend. And I hope that you guys will check them out for a wonderful cause and for a wonderful author.
I'm Kate Quinn, and my most recent book, The Diamond Eye, is all about a woman developing her own strength during difficult times. In a nutshell, it tells the fascinating real life story of a woman from Ukraine, a single mother, a graduate student, a library researcher, and aspiring historian whose life was upended when Hitler invaded her country and who ended up becoming the most effective female sniper of all time. Racking up a tally of 309 enemy invaders on the battlefield, she was sent to the United States on a goodwill tour, becoming America's sweetheart and close friends with First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. Her name is Lyudmila Pavlichenko, aka Lady Death. Her story is real, and so is her struggle. She never wanted to pick up a gun and take a single human life. She wanted to spend her days among books and make a better world for her son. But war came to her doorstep, leaving her no choice except to run or to stand and fight. And a quiet, book-loving mom found out she had a warrior inside, found out she had the strength to become a heroine, to defend her homeland, and to change history. An ordinary woman changed by pressure into a diamond. Her story reminds us that we all carry the same capacity inside. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this event. And listeners, make sure to schedule your mammogram today in Kristin's honor. Kristin?
Oh, I love that so much.
Thank you, Kate. And just up is Karen Cleveland. There she is. Karen, welcome. It's so nice to meet you. Many of us know you from your best-selling 2018 debut, Need to Know, but many of us didn't know that you and Kristin are sisters, like she just said. Can you tell us a bit about your most recent book, The New Neighbor, perhaps focusing on one of your characters that finds strength?
Sure. The New Neighbor is about Beth, who's just downsized, and she becomes a little obsessed with the woman who bought her old house, a woman that Beth feels is sort of stepping into her old life. And the more Beth watches her, the more convinced she becomes that this woman is connected to a case that she's been working in her job as a CIA analyst. But is it just paranoia and jealousy, or is this new neighbor not who she says she is? So Beth really has to find the strength to sort through on her own, what's real and what's not, and ultimately to trust her instincts when it matters the most.
That is awesome. I love this book, Karen. I love all your books. And of course, you have a background as a CIA analyst. So all of this is so informed by your own experience, which is just adds another cool layer to it. So Karen, we're talking a lot about finding strength tonight, but can you talk about being the strength when someone you love, I assume you love me, I hope you love me, goes through something difficult? So you have certainly been such an important part of my support system. Do you have advice for other people in your shoes?
Well, I love you very much, of course. And it's hard to see someone you love go through something difficult because you know how hard it is for them. And you just wish that there was something you could do to take away that stress or that pain or that worry. And but ultimately there's only so much anyone can do. And so there's that feeling of helplessness, and it's tough because you just wish you could do more. But I think love is strength, and I love you. We all love you. And, it's been great to see how people have really rallied around you. And I just hope that you have felt all that love. And, I will say I've really admired your attitude through all of this. You've been positive. You've been present for your family. You've been using your diagnosis to do some good. And, I feel like you're so strong. And I really admire that.
So much. Thank you. Well, you've been there for me since day one. And I know I have felt your love lifting me up. So thank you very much.
And there's nothing like sisters. And I wanted to give a quick shout out to my sister, Debbie, and also Amber, who are behind the scenes running everything for this video program. So thank you to them. Thanks so much, Karen. A reminder to everyone that if you order The Good Neighbor, Karen's book, or any other book you see tonight.
New Neighbor. Sorry, that was my typo in the script. Totally my fault, Karen. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
nope,
I have
my
the book
fault.
right here. I have the book right in front of me too. So
sorry, my fault.
The New Neighbor, my apologies. Or any other book you see tonight on the event order form. Through the end of March, Adventures by the Book will donate 20% to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. Next up, you're going to hear from 3 favorite best-selling authors, including Nita Prose, with a special message for Canadian viewers, and we have a lot of those tonight. And after that, best-selling author and larger than life, Adriana Trigiani, will be here live, so stay tuned.
Thanks, Karen. Love you.
Thank you, Karen.
My name is Sarah Penner, and I am the author of The London Seance Society, which releases on March 7th and tells the story of Lynna, a young woman in Victorian London who must be the bravest that she has ever been in her life in order to untangle truth from illusion and discover what happened to her beloved little sister. I am standing today with my friend Kristin Harmel to remind you that you can be the bravest you've ever been and to encourage you to set up early cancer screenings like mammograms and pap smears.
Hi, I'm Sally Hepworth. I'm the author of The Soulmate, coming out April 4th. In my book, the main character Pippa is married to her soulmate Gabe, who has found his calling by talking would-be jumpers off the cliff alongside their coastal home. But when Pippa witnesses Gabe doing something terrible, she has to summon the strength to face the truth, even if that means blowing her happy family apart in the process. I'm standing with my friend Kristin Harmel to help uninsured and underinsured women get access to free mammograms.
Hi there, I'm Nita Prose, and I'm the author of The Maid. The Maid features Molly, who is a hotel room maid whose world gets turned upside down when she stumbles across a guest who's very dead in his bed, and she's quickly pinned for murder. Now, she really has to find some strength in herself and with a community of friends around her to try to clear her good name. And speaking of friends, that is why I'm here today. I want you to think about getting a mammogram. Now, here in Canada, the Canadian Cancer Society recommends that you get one every 2 years if you're between the ages of 50 and 74. And you know, my good friend, Kristin Harmel, great writer, fabulous person, is recommending that we all go get one. So we should listen to her because she's smart, she's brilliant, and she's kind. And apart from that, she's also right. Anyhow, I have a message for Kristin, and it's the same message for you. Remember, you're stronger than you realize. Thank you.
I love
Thank
that.
you, Nita.
She's the
Sarah
best.
and Sally. I love that.
Me too. So now we are honored to have with us Adriana Trigiani, the New York Times bestselling author of 20 books in fiction and nonfiction, a screenwriter and director, and of course, the host of the wildly popular Adriana Inc. online show. Welcome, Adriana. Thank you so much for being with us.
Welcome.
You are so sweet. You have it.
Kristin, it's so brilliant. I love it. It's fantastic. And okay, so everybody says get a mammogram. I put on my pink puffer so you would. I just want to say to my beloved Susan Macbeth, larger than life. Is that code for fat? What does that mean?
No. You know how to make a grand entrance. I still remember the grand entrances you made at our events, and I love it.
I have so much makeup on that I'm embarrassed. If you came in close, you'd be horrified. But I want to say this to you, Kristin. This is a talent that's just, it's just getting started. Okay.
Aww.
And I want to tell you this. And I always use this example. I have a dear friend, Mary Ellinger, whose mother had breast cancer when she was in her 40s, lived well into her 90s. The stories of triumph in the face of adversity far outnumber any sad stories. And you're not going anywhere. And you have this river of love of these women. I mean, I'm crying. It's so incredible. But this is something we know as women. By the way, it's National History Month for women. Well, like I like to say to people, when we don't have a month, we know we've made it, okay? Left out of history completely. And why? Because we didn't have time to write it, or we didn't have time to tell our stories. But we know that wherever we are in life, that our story is what is the most important contribution we can make to the world. And that's for everybody that's here tonight. And I want you to think, project as far into the future as you can. and see this incredible life that's ahead of you. And don't let the momentary exhaustion make you think anything other than, I got to get through this, because we've got you. We've got you here. We want to see you thriving. We want to see you feeling great. I mean, I'm agog at the fact that you could do this, host this giant event. I mean, you talk about, I mean, it's truly beautiful.
Well, thank you so much. That was such wonderfully nice things to say. Thank you. And honestly, credit for hosting the event goes to Susan. I've just been basically keeping more work on her behind the scenes.
No, don't believe that, because you think that Kristin's undergoing chemo, that she's not having the energy. She still out energizes me, and I'm not going through chemo. So
she looks absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
Yes.
Thank you. Good lighting, but thank you. I appreciate that. Well,
this is what it means to be a Harmel. It's what it means to be a Kristin Harmel, which is put one foot in front of the other. You take care of your family, you do your work, and you keep moving, and you try to get everybody on board and moving forward. I mean,
thank you.
You're doing it, and it's just it's beautiful to see.
Thank you.
And you know, it's no joke putting one of these things together. It's gigantic.
It is. I know Susan and I are a little overwhelmed, but it's all good. But Adriana, thank you so much for saying all that. Before we let you go tonight, and I know each of these segments I wish I could have you for like 30 minutes. It's crazy.
This is like J-Day, except for all
exactly. Adriana, can you tell us about a character who has to summon inner strength in The Good Left Undone?
Yes, I'm going to pick Domenica, and because she reminds me of you. She faces obstacles head on. She doesn't crumble. There are moments when she's emotional, but she keeps her eye on the prize, which is, I got to raise my kid. I've got to get home. I've got to stay true to who I am. And I can't let anything be bigger than my strength and my ability to come back, my ability to fight. I can't let anything be bigger than my goal to live and live a long, healthy, happy life.
Well, what a great message.
Great words. And just a quick question. I'm just wondering, because when I think of you and I think of Kristin and the Friends in Fiction, I'm just wondering, why is it that the literary community is so good at providing support and comfort? I mean, look at the incredible outpouring of love tonight. I mean, you and your Adriana Inc. and Friends in Fiction and Kristin, and it's amazing. How does that happen?
You know why I think this happens? Is because all these women know how hard it is. And we don't, I think the pandemic has really helped us come closer together because of our distance from each other in the world, because there's no two of us alike. And so we know how hard it is. So if you know how hard something is, look at what Kristin's reaction is to her diagnosis. It's like, okay, everybody get in there and make sure you don't get this. And if it's early, good, you know. So there's a camaraderie. I think we also know it's the fear dance at 2 a.m. We're by ourselves finishing something. We're going, are we going to do it? Look at all these beautiful authors. Women are amazing, and they're beautiful, and they don't get credit for it, and they don't get credit for the hard work that they do. And if we in some way could tell little stories that uplift, that abide us in this life that is so hard. Wow.
Well,
that's the life of an artist. There was nothing, now there's something.
You're absolutely right. Oh, Adriana, thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Yeah,
love you, and I'm so proud of you, and just know the prayers and flares are coming at you, and I can already see it. Okay, you're doing great.
Thanks, Adriana. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So next up, everybody, we have a video from hugely best-selling author Alice Hoffman, the author of the Practical Magic series, who is also a 25-year cancer survivor. And then #1 best-selling author Lisa Scottolini will be joining us live.
I am Alice Hoffman, and I'm very happy to be here this afternoon with you and with Kristin. I'm the founder of the Hoffman Breast Center at Mount Auburn Hospital in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I'd like to read you a little bit about what happened to me. When I found the lump, I was convinced I had imagined it. These things didn't happen to me. True, bad things happened around me. My mother was undergoing treatment for breast cancer. My sister-in-law was battling brain cancer. Several relatives and friends were seriously ill. But these things didn't happen to me. I was not someone who got cancer. In fact, I was the person who sat beside bedsides, who accompanied friends to doctor's appointments, researched family members' diseases, went to meetings with lawyers when divorce was the only option, found therapists for depressed teenagers. I bought plots at cemeteries, I arranged funerals, I babysat children and pets. But as it turned out, I was also the one with cancer. I did my best to pretend it wasn't so. I was busy, after all, the mother of young sons, caring for my ill mother, involved in my writing. My most recent novel had just been chosen as an Oprah Book Club selection, and an earlier novel, Practical Magic, was being filmed in California with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. I did not have time to be ill. But now I know you can't run away by ignoring the truth. The truth follows you. It comes in through open windows. It drifts under doors. I went for a biopsy and I was fine. And days later, my doctor phoned me and she said, Alice, I'm sorry. And then I knew. Good fortune and bad luck can be tied together with invisible, unbreakable thread. It happens to everyone in one way or another, sooner or later. The loss of a loved one, a divorce, heartbreak, a child set on the wrong path, a bad diagnosis. When it comes to sorrow, no one is immune. I forgot that our lives are made up of equal parts of sorrow and joy, and that it's impossible to have one without the other. This is what makes us human. This is why our world is so precious. I wrote to remind myself that in the darkest hour, the roses still bloom and the stars still come out at night. And to remind myself that despite everything that was happening to me, there were still choices I could make. 25 years after being diagnosed with cancer, I've become something I never imagined I'd be. I'm a survivor. We all experience trauma and we all take a very different personal path to healing on our own terms, but we're also alike in what we need most. And love really is the answer. Thank you so much for having me here with you today.
Wow. Thank you, Alice Hoffman, for that beautiful, heartfelt message. And we're going from one superstar to the next. We're next happy to welcome Lisa Scottolini, the #1 best-selling and Edgar Award-winning author of 35 novels. A former president of Mystery Writers of America, she has 30 million copies. That's 30 million copies of her books in print and has been published in 35 countries. Lisa, welcome. We're all excited about your upcoming historical fiction release, Loyalty, coming out on March 29th. The book has a huge and varied cast of characters, but is there one in particular who comes to mind when it comes to finding strength within?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Susan. Kristin, I love you so deeply. I don't know if it says here, Laura Leonard, that's my best friend. I don't want to talk about my book. I want to talk about your books. I want you to see my Kristin Harmel collection back there. You know why that is? Because I love you. I love your book. I bought a bunch because I loved this one in particular so much. And of course, I cannot wait for this one. So whenever, because people ask me why, I don't know, but they're like, what have you read that's great? I go, you know what? Not only can I tell you the book, but I'll give you a damn copy because that's how we roll in Philly, man. You will not, you will get the book, whether you want the book or not. It's so good. And I cannot tell you, people will write me, they go, oh my God, she's so good. I go, I know, she's so good.
Thank you.
So true. So it's just so wonderful to be here and I love you. And I've been backstage lurking and I love what everyone said. Of course, Adriana, and a lot of these comments are so great. Something I love that Karen Cleveland said though, was so wonderful. She said, love is strength. And I thought, well, that is really That's kind of super insightful. Because, you know, I think in this world right now, we're defining, for example, with respect to men, let's talk about them for a minute. I know nothing about them because I'm divorced twice. Like, obviously, I'm hitting it out of the park, right? But, you know, what is a man? What is, we talk about toxic masculinity. And we also, as women, are redefining what is strength. And I thought, God, I look at you and I go, you are strength. Love is strength. It's so, so true. The generosity of spirit to say, join me, everybody, we will come together. And I don't think, if I can also say, someone else said this in the comments, but I've always believed it, because a minute ago, Susan asked, you know, why is the book community so, you know, why the book community does this? And look, can we just for a minute say how awesome people who love books are, right? But I will tell you, look at this, I'm filibustering, but I can't get it out, that I do believe, I love books so much, and I believe they develop empathy. And I think and not writing them, reading them, right? Every time you sit down, you're going to pick up, right? The Paris daughter, you're going to go, all of a sudden, you're going to be transported to Paris at this impossibly difficult time. You're going to see what she does. Through her, you're going to surmount this unsurmountable obstacle. And that 400-page journey, being in someone else's shoes, is the very definition of empathy. So that I'm just telling you my secret theory, that's why readers are wonderful.
I think
because they're open-minded, they're open to new ideas, they're open to new experiences. And this night is so emblematic of that you did this. We will all be there no matter when we will put our lipstick on, we will put on our bras, we will write I drew eyebrows for you. I will do it, girl, and all of us will do it for you, because we're doing it for you and we're doing it for each other. I love us. I love the way women are to each other.
Yeah.
And Kristin, I love you. You know, I'm a huge, huge fan of your writing. I always have been. And to get to know you personally, virtually, has meant so much to me. And I hope that everybody who doesn't know you, when they watch this, they will know you, because you are so authentic. And so what you see is what you get. And I know that people feel that. I just know it.
Thank you, Lisa. That's
Well,
so
it's so
sweet.
true. It's so easy to say when it's so true.
I am planning to show up on your doorstep this June when I'm in that area, and I'm going to give you the biggest hug in person finally. But Lisa, your words just mean so much to me. I know you're going to stick around for the next. I love you so much. Seriously, thank you. But I know you're going to stick around for the next segment too. But can you tell us just quickly about what loyalty teaches us about strength, and then we'll bring on in the other historical fiction girls in just a minute. I'd love to hear about loyalty.
I'm so lucky and grateful to be one of the historical fiction girls. I'm like, woohoo! Loyalty is coming out March 28th, but honestly, it's a story about 4 characters and how their lives intertwine in this really rugged, difficult terrain of Sicily in the 1800s, when the mafia is on the rise and there's no food around, although the pasta is excellent.
Most importantly,
you have to, like Alice said, there's good and there's bad. Pasta is always good. But really, I think all of us writing any genre, I mean, these are my favorite authors, and I've read, like everybody, in fact, on the panel, I've read everybody, and we all are writing about ordinary people overcoming an insurmountable obstacle. And I feel like that's, for me, it's always it's a pep talk to me.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to say that I'm bulletproof, but I'm not. And have all the things everybody else has. Oh, someone changed my name. Thank you.
There you go.
You know, Laura Leonard is my best friend, so that I have her name on it, that's fine. But all the books are about that. And I think any book worth reading is going to take a reader on that journey. And that's why the arts matter. And we're so lucky to be engaged in a business that you can get and create, or as Adriana said, we make something that wasn't there before. But I will say that I think we make it together with the reader, because readers bring so much imagination, so much of their own life experience, right? No 2 people read the same book the same way. It's absolutely remarkable. And the funny thing is, you can read a book like 10 years ago and then read it after your divorce.
Yep.
And, you know, and then it's totally different. So that's much more important than any book of mine. That's the point I love tonight.
You're totally
Lisa,
right.
so true. Thank you. And readers, you've got to check out her new book, Loyalty. 20% being donated. And Lisa's going to stick around for the next segment, which we're going to have a live pop-in with historical greats Christina McMorris, Pam Jenoff, Fiona Davis, and Marie Benedict. So join us back in just a moment and enjoy these videos in the interim.
And I'm Lisa Barr, author of the New York Times bestseller, Woman on Fire, a gripping tale of a young journalist who will stop at nothing to find a Nazi-looted masterpiece. She never takes no for an answer. I stand with my friend, Kristin Harmel, a true woman on fire. And I'm here to tell you that you are stronger than you think. You got this.
Hi, I'm Allison Hammer.
And I'm Brady Godfrey.
Together, we're Allie Brady, authors of The Beach Trap and The Comeback Summer, which is coming out on May 9th.
In The Comeback Summer, our main characters, Libby and Hannah, show strength by crushing their comfort zones and learning to choose their own paths.
We are honored to stand with our friend Kristin Harmel, reminding you that you have more strength than you know.
And to schedule your mammogram.
We're making a donation to Susan G. Komen in Kristin's honor and encourage you to do the same.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nancy Johnson, author of the debut novel, The Kindest Lie. In this book, you will meet Ruth Tuttle, a successful Black engineer who left her baby behind in her dying Indiana hometown more than a decade ago. And now Ruth has to find the courage to go back there, uncover long buried secrets that could really inflame the racial tensions in that community and threaten everything that she's tried to build in her life now and in her future. I stand with my dear friend, Kristin Harmel. And I have to tell you, it is because of Kristin's voice and her powerful inspiration that I scheduled my mammogram. And I have been putting that off for months. So get on it, ladies. It could save your life.
That's
you, ladies.
awesome.
Lisa, Allie, Nancy Johnson.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's see. We've got Lisa back still here with us, and I think we are bringing on Christina McMorris, Pam Jenoff, Fiona Davis, and Marie Benedict, my historical fiction sisters. I love this. Ladies, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Can each of you tell us about a character in your most recent novels who has found strength in a difficult time? Christina, do you want to start us off?
Absolutely. And can I just really quick say that I lived in Philly for a short time, and how on earth I miss Lisa, because I feel like if you're in the vicinity, you cannot possibly miss Lisa. You are so fantastic. Kristin keeps saying, how, she's like, I need to connect you two. I'm like, yeah.
We're connecting now, girl. We're friends with Kristin.
I feel like we would be like the Ghostbuster stream, like the Ghostbuster streams, you just don't necessarily cross them. It's either going to be really good or really bad for the whole world. Oh my God. I am so happy to be here. And yes, of course, I will tell you about a character, but also first, the most important character here that I know people are going to get tired of hearing this, but it can't be said enough. And that is that Kristin, you are amazing. The reason why there are so many women banded together too, not just because we all have a common cause and we are empathetic and it is an amazing community, is because of you. That this was a no-brainer, that everybody jumped on board as fast as they did. And, you know, incredible. You are one of my closest friends. You are the strongest, amazing mother, woman friend I know. So anyway, all right, moving on. In my book, let's see here. So The Ways We Hide is my latest one. And the character in there is Fenna Voss, and she is the daughter of Dutch immigrants. And she is unbelievably strong in that she is the mastermind behind an escape show, and yet poses as the assistant, as so many women did in history, and kind of took the back seat. And she is unbelievably strong. She gets recruited by MI9, their British military intelligence group that I called the Go-Go Gadget team of World War II. They created escape and evade devices that they smuggled into almost anything you can think of, including Monopoly boards. And through the story, as you well know, Kristin, from reading it, she gets pulled much deeper in the war than she ever expects and overcomes obstacles that just like you and all of us have been through, that we think, how are we going to tackle this? And somehow we make it out through the other side. So I'm really excited to share that character with readers. And I think it is very pertinent to what we're all talking about today.
Thank you, Christina. That's perfect. I love that book so much. But Pam, how about you? Pam Jenna.
Oh, also
Hey.
Philly in the house.
That's right.
I'm sending, without taking too much, I'm sending all my love to you and all my gratitude for what you and Susan have put together here. So honored to be a part. So my character in Codename Sapphire, which has been out just a month, I guess today, there's 3 women, but I'm going to tell you about Hannah Martel, because Hannah is a German political activist. And during a Kristallnacht type event in Germany, she lost both her fiance and her unborn child, and she has picked herself up, and she tries to flee Europe to North America, only to be turned away. Her ship is turned back from the United States and Cuba, and so she finds herself in Belgium. And what does she do? She links up with a resistance organization, and she starts fighting once again, not just for herself but for the cause and for family and for all that matters. So I think in these minutes when we need strength, we look for our why.
That is such a good point. That's exactly what I've been saying about this. I've been searching for the why, and it feels like this is the why. So very good point, Pam. Thank you for saying that. And how about you, Fiona? Fiona Davis, my good friend.
Oh, I am so honored to be here. I can't tell you. And again, you are making such a difference. This is a really powerful night on so many levels. And so I thought I'd talk about one of the characters in The Magnolia Palace, which just came out in paperback a couple months ago. And it's in the 1910s. And it's from the point of view of this artist's model named Lillian. And she's lost her mother due to the Spanish flu. And then she lost her livelihood due to a scandal. And then she was kicked out of her home. And so Lillian finds refuge in the Frick Mansion, which is this beautiful, beautiful house on Fifth Avenue. And she really has to draw on all of her strength to get hired as the private secretary to a very temperamental Helen Frick, who's the daughter of Henry Clay Frick, all the while keeping her true identity secret. And so that's my character of the day.
I love that. Thank you, Fiona. Thanks for telling us about her. And finally, Marie Benedict, also up in Pennsylvania. This is like a big Pennsylvania gathering.
Pittsburgh. Oh my gosh, Kristin, I just want to reach, probably like everybody here, reach through the stinking Zoom and just give you the biggest hug, because you are such a bright light. I mean, everyone who knows Kristin knows not only is she just such an incredibly talented, spectacular author, but a beautiful, beautiful person inside and out. And I could go on and on about all the myriad ways you've been there for me. And this is like a drop in the bucket for what I think any of us would be delighted to do for you. And I know it's all going to be fun, and you're going to be on the other side. And hopefully today, giving you these virtual hugs.
Virtual hugs.
Yes, virtual hugs. Will help. Otherwise, I'm going to start crying like Alice Hoffman's letter. My goodness.
Right?
What fabulous company to be in today. Oh my gosh, with all these wonderful ladies. And I loved Loyalty, Lisa, you know that. And I love all of your work. When I think about, I can't just talk about one character. I have to talk about my women in total, right? I pick women who leave important legacies, but they're all women who are grappling with something huge. They're all women who are tackling issues, whether it's recognition for their work, whether it's a marriage, whether it's political undertakings. They're all up against seemingly insurmountable odds, and they all prevail. And I think, thinking about that today and thinking about what Adriana Triani said earlier about the way in which journeying with these women that we write about not only gives us empathy, but gives us strength. And gosh, I mean, you have our empathy, our sympathy, and strength in droves, I know, but you also have our love too. And sorry, it's so personal, but there you go. I couldn't help myself.
I love that. Well, I love you too. Thank you. Thank you very much. Lisa, did you have a question you wanted to ask the ladies? Or no? Oh, I can ask it. I can ask it.
How great is Kristin?
That's really want to ask us, Lisa.
Wait, oh my God, wait, what have I unleashed?
No, my only question is like, do we have any estrogen left between us? Because I'm weeping and I'm feeling, and I think Adriana did say a cool thing when she said that in a way the COVID brought us, not COVID brought us closer, but being on this Zoom is amazing. And also it's killing me that you guys are from Philly. And since if I would leave the house, I would finally know that. Here we all are, and this is kind of great. And I really think this is going to be like, this is some kind of landmark thing, Kristin. I don't know how you got this idea. Props to Susan. I'm sure she was a little bit. Susan, I knew it. I mean, this is just the two of you, though, and Amber, wherever she is. What an amazing thing. I think it's so great how women just like, let's put on a show. And you think you're going to get 20 and then you got 60 and we're all just here. And I think it's a real reflection, as everyone has said, but love for you, but also writ large, how we're there for each other. Women are always there for each other. I mean, everyone has adversity, but I've had the best friends and they've gotten me through my life. And God, how lucky are we in each other? Just so lucky. So I don't have a question. I have a lot of answers, but no questions.
No, that was perfect. It was perfect.
We really want about how the power of books helps you get through difficult times. So Lisa, can you tell us a little bit about how the power of books helps you get through difficult times?
Well, I think as soon as I love to read, and I read all the time. Like people, I have no life, as you may know, and completely celibate. Is that off the point? So oh no, never far from my mind. So, but as soon as I'm like taken away, I am taken away, and that's kind of what I'm loving so much about historical fiction. That it's a different place and a different time. So I loved, and the bigger the book, the better. You know that line, I love big books and I cannot lie. Like that is
I like big books
and I cannot lie. Just take me away, baby. I'm alone. People are always like, I guess the ending. I'm like, I don't even try. I don't want to guess anything. I just want to be led by the hand and cuddled up. And isn't that what every book is? Just give me the take me in your arms, I'll cuddle you up.
That is so true. And on that cuddly note, ladies, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It was so nice to see all of you. Thank you so much for all the wonderful, inspiring words. And I cannot wait to give all of you a big hug in person. Thank you so much.
Love you, Kristin.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. So, all right, folks, next up, you will see a video from author Kelly Stewart, who was, believe it or not, exactly 3 weeks behind me on the exact same chemotherapy regimen. How strange is that? From the exact same statewide cancer practice, though she was being treated in Tampa and I was being treated in Orlando, which is a really important message for you. And after that, if she's here, I'm not sure if I see her backstage, we will be joined for a live chat by #1 New York Times bestselling author Debbie McCumber. And if she is not backstage, we will come up with something else. We'll see you in a minute.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Stewart, and I'm honored that Kristin asked me to join you all here today and share a little bit of my story. In October of 2021, I went in for a routine mammogram. About a month later, I got a notice saying that the pictures were inconclusive and they needed further imaging. And in one of the biggest regrets of my life, I did not immediately follow up on that notice. I have no family history of breast cancer. I'm healthy, young, and I just assumed maybe I coughed or maybe I moved, the images were blurry and I brushed it off. In May of 2022, I had an appointment with my OB. I told him about the results. He did an exam, couldn't feel anything, but said, let's go ahead and just get the follow-up images just in case. And I waited till the end of July of 2022 to go in for that follow-up. And at that point, they found a 3-centimeter mass in my left breast and a mass under my arm. And I was diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer. I had a double mastectomy in October, and I am now 2 cycles into a 4-cycle chemo treatment, the same chemo treatment that our dear Kristin Harmel is going through. And so I just wanted to encourage everyone, early detection is key. I wish that I would have gone back for the follow-up imaging sooner. It may have changed my story a little bit, but I'm glad that I did get the imaging when I did. It saved my life. And then in keeping with today's event, I want to share with you my newest book, The Master Craftsman. In it, we follow Ava Lane, the daughter of renowned treasure hunter Nicholas Lane, who is on a quest for her dying father's final mission to search for the missing
Imperial Fabergé Easter egg. And along the way, she is going to discover that healing is possible through forgiveness, and redemption is possible along the way as well. So the Master Craftsman is available wherever books are sold. And now I just have the most important question for all of you. Have you scheduled your mammogram yet?
Thank you so much. And Debbie McComber is having technical difficulties, and I know she's going to be with us shortly. So we're going to go ahead and play the next video compilation, and then we'll invite Jamie Brenner in case Debbie's not here. So be ready, Jamie Brenner, and if Debbie pops in, we'll invite her too. Thank you.
I am Zibby Owens, and I am the author of Bookends, a memoir of love, loss, and literature. I am also a publisher of Zibby Books and the owner of Zibby's Bookshop. I'm here to support my friend Kristin and to remind all of you to please go get a mammogram. Go, do it today. Go on.
I'm Colleen Oakley, author of The Mostly True Story of Tanner and Louise, about an 84-year-old woman and a 21-year-old girl who come together on a cross-country road trip to save a friend and evade the police who are chasing them. I'm standing with my friend, Kristin Harmel, and coming together with the literary community to raise awareness for breast cancer and to remind you to schedule your mammogram.
Hi, I'm Queen Mai, author of That's Child, to be published on March 14th. In my novel, two Vietnamese sisters need to survive the Vietnam War, as well as the soldiers who use them as sexual objects. They find strength in each other and in the strong women around them. As an author, I find strength in my friend, Kristin Harmel, whose new book, The Paris Daughter, is one of the best books I have ever read. Thank you for joining us in scheduling your mammogram and in joining our mission to support other women. Xin cảm ơn. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brenda Janowitz, author of the Audrey Hepburn Estate, coming this April. In my book, the protagonist Emma is caught between two worlds and two loves, and she needs to summon the strength to figure out just who she wants to be. I'm standing with my friend Kristin to remind you that you have more strength than you even know.
Hi, I'm Susan Meissner, the author of Only the Beautiful, coming your way April 18. My main character is young, unmarried, and pregnant, and living in a time when the people in power wanted to redefine the meaning of intrinsic human worth. It will take losing nearly everything for Roseanne to discover that her value is not wrapped up in someone else's estimation of her. It is my privilege and honor to stand with Kristin and remind you that you really do have more strength than you know.
Love that. It's so fun to be seeing all these friends and so inspiring. And I just, you know, I hope for people out there, they're getting to see sort of a different side of some of these authors who they read and maybe haven't gotten a chance to experience in person. It's just such a great community, you know, as we've been saying all night.
Yeah, special thanks to Zibby Owens, Colleen Oakley, Nguyen Phan Mai, Brenda Janowitz, and Susan Meissner. And we're still working with Debbie McComber's team to get them on, but we're going to go ahead and move to Jamie Brenner if she is ready. And let me check her out to make sure she's all set.
And you know what? If we're not able to get Debbie on tonight, we will figure out, she and I will do something like separately sometime this week. We want to include her. So if she can't come on tonight, we will figure something out. She's
definitely with us in spirit, and we're going to work on it. So Jamie Brenner, if you're there.
Oh, I see her. There she is.
Starting, yeah.
Yep. Hey, Jamie, are you able to turn your, there you go, perfect.
There we go.
Jamie.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh,
Right.
I almost forgot I was speaking. I got so rolled into this. I was like complete in viewer mode. Wow.
Well, everybody, we are so pleased to welcome Jamie Brenner, the author of several novels, including Guilt and Blush. So welcome, Jamie. And now, of course, thanks for being here. Of course, like me, and like so many of the other authors we've heard from tonight, I mean, it's amazing to think that this community of us is so large. You're a breast cancer survivor too. So I know that you and I have talked about this a little bit, but you have an important message for us tonight about being aggressive with treatment and doing your own research. Can you tell us your story?
Yeah, well, so first of all, I wish I had a night like this back in 2017. So thank you for all of us. I was diagnosed twice. The first time I was diagnosed with DCIS, which is ductal carcinoma in situ, which is considered stage 0 of cancer, like pre-cancer, whatever that means. And that's the problem. You know, a lot of this stuff is in black and white. And as everyone's talked about how as women, we have to do this and be strong. So I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. And then I read some article that people in Europe don't even treat DCIS and how like America just wants to get everyone hooked on medication, you know. So I was like caught up in this whole like I'm not going to overreact thing. And then it came back as stage 1 cancer 2 years later. The crazy thing about this, I was literally on my way to meet Adriana Trigiani for breakfast and got the call and didn't mention it to her. I didn't talk to anyone, which is another mistake. But the point is, I chose to be a little less aggressive than I could have been with the DCIS. I refused radiation. I refused to take tamoxifen. I just had a lumpectomy. And like, that was my compromise. And when I met with the radiologist, who was a sort of arrogant male doctor, which didn't help my feeling of comfort or trust in this whole process, he said, well, I'm sure I'll see you again, when I told him I was declining radiation. But this time I went to a different practitioner, a female, went straight to mastectomy. Let's get this done. But I wish I had been a bit more aggressive the first time around, because probably, you know, then wouldn't have had to go through it again. And so what I'm saying is, you know, don't be afraid to just confront it. It's not weak to do it, you know, to be super aggressive. There's no overreacting to pre-cancer, because we still don't even know exactly what that means or how it's going to behave. So that's what I'd like to say.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Jamie. And you know, it's so hard to sift through it, you know, and that's, to be honest, it's one of the reasons why I have been really happy to partner with Susan G. Komen, because I feel like they provide a lot of resources. Because I think when you get a diagnosis like that, you don't know where to turn. And all it really takes is one doctor or one person kind of giving you the wrong advice or treating it with an arrogance or, you know, whatever, to make you just think, maybe this isn't for me. But, you know, it's important to sift through that information, get accurate information where you can, and make decisions. But I'm glad that you finally ended up taking care of it and that you're still with us. And I really appreciate you sharing that, because it's such an important perspective to hear about tonight. So thank you, Jamie.
Thank you so much. Honor to be here.
Thank
you so much.
Everyone.
It's a
Take care.
pleasure.
And
was
we're
a
excited
pleasure.
and
I see that
I see Debbie too. Yes,
Thank
perfect.
you, Debbie. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties, but we're so glad you're here now. And I'm just asking you to unmute yourself. There you go. Welcome.
Hi, Debbie.
All right, we're going to backtrack and go back to Debbie. We're thrilled now to welcome Debbie Macomber, #1 New York Times bestselling author and one of today's most popular writers, with more than, get this, 200 million copies of books in print worldwide. Her novels have spent over 1,000 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. Debbie, welcome. Let's dive right in with something that we know is very near and dear to your heart. You're very spiritual, and tonight we're talking about finding strength in difficult times. All of us at one time or another will face something that feels insurmountable, something that feels like it might break us. What is your advice to those out there tonight for finding strength in the darkness?
Well, what I thought I would do is to tell you something personal that happened to me. I grew up with a cousin that developed cancer, and I had always dreamed about being a writer. But because I didn't learn to read to the 5th grade, I had all of this background. I stuffed that dream into the future. And I went to see David in the hospital, and I got lost, which I get lost a lot. And the doctor was in there. I said, well, how do I get from here to there? And he said, well, you walk through this corridor and you go all the way to the end, and you walk through the door marked absolutely no admittance. And I had to walk through that door to become a writer. And you're standing in front of a door, Kristin, and you have to walk through that door. And that door is faith. You believe. And I found this verse I want to share with you. Praise be to the Lord, the God, our Savior, who will carry you each day in his arms. And that's from Psalm 68:19. And that's my wish for you, that you would walk in faith and believe, and God bless you.
Thank you, Debbie. Those are just beautiful words. You know, as someone who has published an astounding, has 200 million books worldwide. I mean, that's incredible. I can barely even fathom that. I think it makes you the perfect person to ask this question of, how can books bring us comfort and strength when we need those things the most?
You know, one of the things that my goal as a writer, for a long time, I remember I made a list of all the things I wanted in my career. I wanted to do tours. I wanted audiobooks, all the things, all of those different things. And when it came down to it, it had to be the reader, what I could give the reader, not what I wanted for myself, but for them. And that became my life goal, is to be a blessing. And so when a reader will pick up a book, they're going to know they're going to get a happy ending, they're going to be encouragement, and they're going to have hope. And I think that's what we find in the novels that each one of us write. It's woman to woman. You know, we're not here to change the world, but we're to help somebody have a good night or a good afternoon so they can escape and enjoy.
So true.
Yeah, and Debbie, your new novel, Must Love Flowers, is coming this July. And of course, it's one of the books that we are featuring on our order form tonight. I know that Debbie's been posting the links in the chat box, but the chat is so full with chat, which we love to see. Keep it going. I just wanted to remind you, you can go to our website, adventuresbythebook.com, on the event page for this event. We'll keep that link up all month through March, where am I? Through March, and we will be donating 20%, including Must Love Flowers. So Debbie, would you like to give us a 30-second elevator pitch of your new book?
Must Love Flowers is about a woman who got caught in COVID, and her husband died and before COVID, and here she is, she's become a recluse, and it's about her reestablishing and finding life again.
That is awesome. Well, Debbie, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Sorry about the technical problems getting you on, but we are so happy that you finally made it. It was such a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for joining us and for your words of wisdom and support and advice. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Debbie.
Debbie. So next up, we will hear from Roxanne Valletsos, another author and cancer survivor, followed by best-selling author and my friend, Friends in Fiction co-founder, Mary Alice Monroe, live.
Hi, my name is Roxanne Valletsos, and I'm the author of The Girl They Left Behind. When it comes to inspiring women characters, the first that comes to mind is Despina Goza, who was based on my maternal grandmother. When after the Second World War, Romania falls under Soviet occupation, the Gozas lose everything, including all personal freedoms. Yet Despina is determined to keep her family from fracturing, and she fights for them in every way that she can. From defending him with a pistol against pillaging Soviet soldiers, to selling housewares at flea markets to put food on the table, Despina discovers within herself a resilience and a courage she never knew existed, and that in itself becomes a pillar for the Goza family. Incidentally, my grandmother's courageous spirit guided me through some very difficult moments of my own, when in late 2021, I too was faced with an early stage cancer diagnosis. Through all the long weeks of uncertainty and treatment that followed, I just kept thinking of her and the grace with which she braced so much adversity, and it really helped to get me through some of my toughest days. I'd like to end by saying that early detection and intervention, without a question, saved my life. So if you are due for a mammogram or any other type of screening, please do not put it off. As I experienced, as Kristin and so many others experienced, it may be the single most important thing that you do for yourself and for your family. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Roxanne. And now we are bringing on Mary Alice Monroe. So we'll just get her set up. If you want to open up your video, Mary Alice. There she is. It's so lovely to see you again. Of course, Mary Alice is one of the original founders of Friends in Fiction, along with Kristin, Mary Kay, Patty, and Christy. She was also on our original Superbook team on the Queen Mary 4 years ago. She's also the New York Times bestselling author of 27 books, including the bestselling The Beach House series. Mary Alice, why don't you tell us about your most recent book and a character who found strength in difficult times?
Well, I changed it. Well, first of all, Kristin, you look so great. It's so, you're beautiful.
Thank you.
You have a new book coming out. You just inspire us all. You go, girl. I'm just
Thank you, my
really
friends.
thrilled. And thank you for organizing this.
Thank you. Thanks for
Actually,
being
I didn't choose a new novel. I chose an old one for a reason. Time is a River. And it's because in that book, the woman is a cancer survivor, a breast cancer survivor. And she goes to an organization called Casting for Recovery. And I think it's important to tell people that this is a real organization. There's a Casting for Recovery office in every state in the union. And what they do, it's free, by the way, absolutely free. They bring you in to go fly fishing. They teach you how to fly fish at this retreat. So while you're and I volunteered for this for years. While you're learning to cast, you're exercising those muscles that sometimes are damaged with breast cancer, but you're also with women who are going through the same thing you are, with counselors and that camaraderie of women. And, you know, there's an expression I always love. It's to fish is to hope. And so when you think about that long, thin line going into the cold water, and what you're hoping for is to catch that fish. The metaphor for trying to connect to life is, I think, a really important one for survivors, because they always are wondering if that cancer will come back or how bad is it going to be. It's the boogeyman under the bed. So I think that sense of hope and having women, like you're pulling all the women together tonight, Kristin and Susan, it's so powerful, because not only do women do better, I think, with other women, but we're telling each other tonight in so many different ways. Get your mammogram.
Yes, so
Get your
important. You're
mammogram.
totally right. Well, I'm glad you brought up something about sort of the natural world, Mary Alice, because I know that's so important to you. I know nature's so important to you. I know that really runs through sort of the heart of all of your books. What advice do you have for everyone listening tonight about how to find the strength within themselves by venturing out into nature? What can nature teach us about our own strength?
Well, I think, like in the books, I just get out into nature, because nature is, you get outside and you get out of your head.
Yeah.
Because that's where fear is. That's where confusion is. It's in your head. You got to use your heart. So you go out into the nature, and it's connecting to something bigger than yourself. It's beautiful. Your problems and your fears seem to evaporate, and it's a God power, and you gain that power and you bring it back into your heart so you can face the problems. And I don't care if you walk in the ocean, but, you know, all along the shore, or on your country road, or whether you're out in your backyard getting your hands in the soil because it's spring planting time. Get outdoors, because nature heals. And I got to say, you must be doing something right. You look fabulous.
Oh, it's a
You
great,
really
it's probably
do.
a good Zoom filter, but thank you. I appreciate that.
It makes my heart happy to see. It really
Thank you,
does.
Mary Alice. That's so kind of you. And, you know, I'm glad you made that point about being part of something bigger, because I feel like that's, you know,
And
what we're
get your
doing tonight too.
mammogram out there. Get your I
mammogram.
don't want to hear it hurts. Your smushes you like a pancake. So what?
Yeah, it's to save your life. Like I keep saying, it saved mine. So thank you so much for being with us tonight, Mary Alice. It was so good to see you. And I just really appreciate it. So
Love
next up, love you too. Thank you, Mary Alice. Next up are 5 of my best writer friends, all of whom are writers from the young adult and middle grade community, followed by a video appearance from 3 other authors whose messages you'll want to hear. After that, we will be chatting live with historical fiction authors Jennifer Rossner and Madeline Martin. So don't go anywhere.
I'm Allison Van Diepen, author of Light of Day.
Hi, I'm Allison Noel, author of Stilling Infinity.
I'm Emily Wing Smith, author of All Better Now.
Hi, I'm Linda Gerber, author of the Death by Bikini Mysteries.
I'm Wendy Tolliver, the author of Red's Untold Tale. We've been friends with Kristin ever since she was writing young adult. Every year, we go on a writer's retreat. We've been friends through the good and the bad, including cancer diagnoses.
We're gathering tonight to celebrate the power of community and the strength we can find within ourselves in tough times. That message runs through our books for young readers too.
We stand with Kristin in encouraging all of you to schedule your mammograms, to ask your doctors about clinical breast exams, and to stay up to date with all recommended screenings. They're there to save our lives.
We're so grateful our friend Kristin went in for a mammogram when she did, and that her prognosis is so good. We want that same opportunity for everybody. Thanks to all you readers who've shown up tonight to remind us of the power of community and the support that exists between all those of us who love books. Now go schedule that mammogram.
Hello from Paris. I'm Janet Skeslin-Charles, author of the Paris Library. I'm with you today to talk about the importance of getting a mammogram. This is an issue dear to my heart because my mother had breast cancer when she was just 30 years old. Thanks to early detection, her life was saved. I'm inspired by the courage of my mother, who is in every word that I write. In the same way, I'm inspired by the real-life librarians in my novel. During the Nazi occupation, these librarians fought to keep the library open. They worked hard to maintain ties with members of the community by delivering books to Jewish readers. I'm also inspired by Kristin Harmel, Susan Macbeth, and all the other writers today who give of their time to share this message about the importance of mammograms and early detection. We book lovers must stick together and care for one another. I hope that you'll schedule a mammogram today.
Hi, everybody. Linda Hurtado Bond here. I am a news anchor for Fox 13 in Tampa and also a published author. My latest book, All the Broken Girls. But I'm also a breast cancer survivor. And I wanted to share with you that a mammogram caught my breast cancer. And it caught it so early that I had surgery, but I didn't have to have chemo or radiation. And I'm an 11-year survivor. So go get that mammogram.
I'm Josie Brown, author of the 23-novel Housewife Assassin mystery series. I've been asked by my very dear friend, Kristin Harmel, to talk about why it's so important that you go in for a mammogram. Kristin was recently diagnosed with breast cancer. It was discovered because, yes, she went in for a mammogram. Here's a shocker. 2,800 men will also be diagnosed with breast cancer. Of those men, 530 will die. 2 years ago, my husband got a breast cancer diagnosis. He didn't go in for a mammogram. He was stage 2B. His symptoms were that his nipples pointed down. I noticed that, by the way. He had tenderness in his chest. He had soreness under his arms. These are all symptoms that there may be cancer in your breast. So yes, mammograms are important. Look, you're not just doing it for you. You're doing it for your family.
Thank you, ladies. And I think an important message, we forget about men that they're able to get breast cancer too. So this message is for everybody. And next up, we have Jennifer Rosner and Madeline Martin. So if they can unmute and put themselves on camera, we'd like them to join us.
Hey, ladies.
Hi,
Hey,
Madeline.
Madeline. Hey,
Hello,
Jennifer. So good to see you two.
It's so great to see you too. And you really do look so beautiful.
Oh,
You
thank you.
do.
Again, Zoom filter, but thank you so much. I will take it. Thank you. So, ladies, I am especially glad you two are here with me tonight. We're here with us tonight because you two were some of my earliest supporters on this journey before most people knew I'd been diagnosed with cancer. So, Jennifer, you have consistently checked in on me almost every day, even when you had your own personal challenges. And that's meant so much to me. And Madeline, you basically offered to move heaven and earth to help me cover an event I could no longer attend back in late October. Like, you were trying to rearrange your own vacation that you had planned for a long time. I mean, it just blew my mind. And it was during a time I was trying to schedule my upcoming breast surgery. And just both of you, I just want you to know that meant a lot to me. And it was really, in a lot of ways, you and the Friends in Fiction girls and everybody, it was sort of the beginning of me understanding just how much this community was going to play a role in lifting me up and just how important that was going to be to me. So thank you, both of you, for playing that important role in my life. I really appreciate it. But back to the books. Jennifer, your latest novel, Once We Were Home, comes out a week from today, right? Is it a week from today?
It does. But I just wanted to explain this means I love you in sign language, just in case
That's
anyone
right.
didn't
Yes,
understand
thank
that sign.
you. No, of
Okay.
course. Yes, thank you. Jennifer, can you tell us about a character who finds strength in that book?
Sure. Well, Once We Were Home actually weaves together the story of 4 different people, but the one I was going to talk about tonight about this topic is Renata, who makes a decision to search out truths of her hidden past, no matter how painful it is, to learn about her family's history, and also their possible involvement in the Nazi Party and her own true origins, in order so that she can have an honest relationship with the person she really loves. And so I think that, being honest and, is one way of finding strength and being present for others. And so that seemed like a good one to bring up.
Absolutely.
And Madeline, can you tell us about a character who finds strength in your book, The Librarian Spy, which, by the way, is now out in paperback?
Yes, thank you so much. And I also just want to say too, how grateful I am to be able to be here for all of us standing with Kristin tonight. And thank you for coordinating this. So The Librarian Spy, I have both characters, both women are actually very, very strong. One is an American librarian that gets sent over to a neutral country during World War II to gather intel and gets no training whatsoever before she goes. And the other woman works with the French Resistance with the clandestine printing presses, which was a job that most women typically didn't have and was also a very, very dangerous job.
That is awesome. So ladies, what do you think you've learned about strength from researching these characters in the past? I mean, that kind of seems like something that I think about a lot in terms of writing historical fiction. I think women before us have been through so much. What do you think you've learned from researching this and writing this sort of thing? How about you, Jennifer?
Well, one thing that I really learned actually from interviewing a lot of Holocaust survivors was that something that enabled their survival was an appreciation of beauty wherever they could find it. And so if you were, in the forest and trying to survive, but you came across, you're leaning against a tree and don't think you can go on, and then you get this little scent of tree bark, or, you see some beautiful way the light filters through leaves. I mean, these tiny little things were sometimes the thing that enabled a person to keep going. And I think that, someone earlier was talking about getting outside in nature because you're part of something bigger. But I think that generally beauty in art, in poetry, in nature, in all these different things is so sustaining in a certain way. And that you can sometimes cordon yourself off when you're not feeling well, but that to let yourself be exposed to that, to just hear the most beautiful language, or to listen to music or some such, can really, really help you to find a new strength.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a good point. You're going to hear more, everyone out there, from Jennifer tomorrow night if you tune in for Friends in Fiction. She's going to be one of our guests tomorrow. Madeline, how about you? What do you think you've learned from researching these characters in the past?
So I think one of the most important things I've really come away with is that it doesn't necessarily take an extraordinary person to do extraordinary things. So many of the people who really came out and did so much to help other people, they never thought themselves capable of it. And even after the fact would look back and be like, oh, I just did what I had to do. But these feats that they accomplished were so extraordinary and so life-changing for the people that they benefited.
Yeah, that is such a good point, Madeline. Well, thank you, both of you, not only for being with us tonight, but just for the support you've shown me along the way and for these beautiful books you've produced for readers. So thank you so much for being with us, Madeline and Jennifer.
Love you so much.
Love you too. Thank
Good
you.
to see you there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank
All
you.
right. Now, thank you. Now for a brief word. Oh, and for everybody out there, I should say we are obviously running a little bit long because Susan and I thought we could accomplish this in 90 minutes. What were we thinking? But we are coming getting close to the end. So I see a ton of you still hanging with us in the Zoom on Facebook. So hang on a few minutes more. You don't want to miss the ending. We're going to have a special announcement at the end. But now for a brief word from best-selling author Brenda Novak, followed by a quick 2-minute video featuring several hot new releases. And then we'll be back live with best-selling author Laura Zigman, our second to last live guest of the night, who's a breast cancer survivor too. And then we'll be telling you about a very special virtual adventure happening in May, which will be a continuation of tonight's conversation. So stay tuned for 2 more live appearances. You don't want to go anywhere.
The one thing I love most about reading is how we can identify with certain characters and vicariously learn from them as they face incredible odds and overcome them to find their happily ever after. In my book, which comes out April 11th, Seaside Library, there's a character named Ivy Hawthorne who is safeguarding her family's legacy, which is this beautiful old world library that was founded by her great-great-grandfather. All the rest of the family have moved on to pursue their own things, with schooling or relationships. And she would like to be able to do the same thing. But as a young woman, she's the only one left to really protect this library. And so she has to decide whether she's going to do what she thinks is absolutely best for her, what she thinks is going to be best for the community in saving and protecting this library. And I love how she chooses what's for the greater good of all. And that actually is what turns out in the end to be what's best for her too. I would like to wish Kristin Harmel well on her journey that she is facing now. She too is facing something difficult, as we all do in real life. And I hope she can take power from the heroines that she's read about who have overcome difficult things and be able to endure this journey as easily as possible. And I would like to encourage everybody to make sure that they get their mammograms. I know that it can be really hard to go in and take the time and make sure you do these things, but it's worth it. If it's caught early, if breast cancer is caught early, you have such a better chance of making a positive difference in the prognosis. And in her honor, I just went in and got my own mammogram. And so I would definitely like to encourage you all to do the same.
Yeah, I'm Jane Porter, the author of Flirting with the Beast, a story about a 58-year-old heroine who realizes through falling in love again how important she still is. Well, I'm standing with my longtime friend, Kristin Harmel, to encourage you to get your mammogram because you're important too.
Hi, I'm Megan Crane, who sometimes writes as Caitlin Cruz and is one half author Hazelbeck. Big Little Spells comes out this August and is the story of Rebecca Wild, who has to come home to St. Cyprian, the place she left long ago, to find her real magic and innate strength. I'm standing with my friend Kristin to remind you that you have more strength than you know and all the magic you need.
Hi, we're authors Liz Fenton and Lisa Stenke, and we have an upcoming book, Forever Hold Your Peace, coming out this July.
And in our novel, our main character, June, has to summon the strength to learn how to forgive her ex-best friend who comes back into her life after 20 years.
Today, we're standing with our friend Kristin, and we're encouraging you to donate for breast cancer research.
Hi, I'm Meg Way-Clayton, author of The Postmistress of Paris. Its heroine, Nanae, inspired by a real American heiress, risks her life to rescue artists and writers from the Nazis and, in doing so, finds the courage to risk her heart. I'm standing with Kristin to remind you that you, like Nanae, have more strength than you know.
Hello, I'm Christina.
And I am Lauren of the co-author duo, Christina Lauren.
Our characters believe in science.
We are so grateful that science allows us to detect cancer early.
Go get your mammogram.
Be safe, everyone.
Hi, my name is Alka Joshi, and my new book, The Perfumist of Paris, is coming March 28th. In it, the main character feels she must choose between full-time motherhood and her ambition to become a master perfumer. Will she find the courage to make some hard decisions? With my friend Kristin, I believe that all of us have the courage and more strength than we will ever know to make the right decisions in our lives.
Thank you for those inspiring words, everybody. And we are bringing on Laura Zigman next. And while she's bringing herself to camera, I just want to say this. to our audience members, readers, we call adventurers. We'd like to thank you for participating, and we see all your comments in the chat box. Keep them coming. We're reading them. We just don't have time to respond to them, but trust me, they mean a lot to us, and we're glad you are sharing your thoughts with us as we go on. So now we're back with Laura Zigman, the author of several novels, including the recently released Separation Anxiety, as well as Animal Husbandry, which was turned into the movie Someone Like You, starring Hugh Jackman and Ashley Judd. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, great to see you.
Great to see you, Kristin.
You too. So, like me, Laura, you're a breast cancer survivor. And who knew there were so many of us? I feel like I've said that so frequently tonight, but can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, sure. I mean, one of the great things about, we all complain about social media is that, I saw your post and I wrote a little comment, and the next thing I knew, we were exchanging emails, and I feel like I've known you forever. And I was diagnosed in 2006. Before social media, there was no Facebook, there were no Facebook groups, there was nothing like this. I wish there had been an evening like this for me. And I have like the flip side story of Jamie Brenner's story. I was diagnosed, I'm very undisciplined about everything, but from a very early age, I did my mammograms because my mother had breast cancer at 44. And so I was getting mammograms in like my 20s, like that was my thing. And then of course, one thing led to another, and I was diagnosed in the fall of 2006 with DCIS, stage 0. And just like she said, it was very confusing, and it turned into what would later feel like a Larry David episode, because I was told it was not cancer. And then I went to Dana-Farber to meet my oncologist, and she said, no, it is cancer. And I was like, no, it isn't. Yes, it is. It was, now it's funny. It wasn't funny then, but.
No, I would imagine not.
Yeah. My treatment was a double mastectomy, which was a choice. It was found, the DCIS was found in one breast, and it was recommended that I do both and have reconstruction. So that's what I did. And I remember at the time, a lot of people weighed in on social media, not just on my personal story, but as more research came out, that this was like over-treatment. And we were, and like those of us who are mothers often know that we are always, no matter what we do, it's wrong. So like Jamie said, if you feel like you're under treating, you're wrong. If you feel like people thought I was over treating, but what turned out to be, my choice to have both a double mastectomy was in the final path report. There was DCIS in the other breast too. So I was very glad I did it.
Yeah.
So, I had a different journey than yours in the sense that I had a surgical, sort of a massive amount of surgical stuff and no chemo and radiation. But I think what is so amazing is that all of our experiences together, we find this common ground and just support each other. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that about our journeys being different, because I think, if you haven't thought a lot about breast cancer before, and, hopefully most people haven't thought a lot about breast cancer before. It's something you don't really think about until you're really here. But every story is different. I mean, the things I thought that were going to happen to me in chemo, because I'd heard about chemo before, weren't the things that happened. Some of the things were better. Some of the things were worse. Like, the journey's not what you expect. But ultimately what I found is it's not as bad as you expect. I mean, it's scary, and it's terrible, and it's difficult, and it changes you. But you come out stronger on the other side. And I'm not quite at the point of looking in my rearview mirror yet. I'm almost there. But I think I'm going to look back and I'm going to forget the difficulty of going through it, most of the difficulty, and I'm just going to remember the good that came out of it.
Yeah. Well, if you're lucky, the good that comes out of it are the friendships you make and the people who call you or text you in the middle of the night or email you and just ask you how you are. They don't tell you what vitamins to take. They don't criticize your choices. They don't tell you to be positive. They don't pink wash. They just ask you, how you doing? And those are the friends that you want around you during whatever kind of breast cancer journey you're having, whether it's a really, really tough one or one that I'm sure yours is tougher than you're making it sound. But I mean, obviously they're different. Everything's relative and people have very different ways of going through it. And all you can hope for is just a really tight circle, because we all have to put on that brave face for our kids and our families. And it's our girlfriends who we can be real with. So if you are a girlfriend to someone going through it, just don't say too much. Just check in and just listen. I think that's
You
the
are
best advice.
You are so right. Well, thank you, Laura.
Great
Thank you for
advice,
joining us
Laura.
tonight. And we are excited, especially to have you, because we're going to have one more live segment after this quick video break. And that is going to have a little bit to do with you also. So this is not the last, the Adventures by the Book Adventurers. We'll see if Laura Zigman. We'll just say that. Thanks for being with us,
having me.
Laura.
Thanks, Laura.
Rouse, and I write under the pen name Viola Shipman to honor my grandmother. In my new novel, Famous in a Small Town, coming in June, my main character, Mary Jackson, is an octogenarian cherry pit spitting champion of Michigan who forges a friendship with a woman half her age. Together, their individual strengths make the other whole. Like them, I'm standing with my friend Kristin today because united, we can do anything together.
I'm Julia Kelly, author of The Lost English Girl. In my book, Viv, my main character, is forced to make an impossible decision to send her daughter away from the possibility of airstrikes in urban Liverpool where they live to the relative safety of the English countryside. But although this decision is heartbreaking, it's one that will ultimately lead Viv to discover just how strong she can be. I stand with my friend Kristin Harmel to remind you to schedule your mammogram.
Hi, everyone. My name's Heather Webb, and I am the author of Strangers in the Night. It's my new novel exploring old Hollywood and the tumultuous relationship between Frank Sinatra and Ava Gardner, publishing March 21st. I hope you'll check it out. I'm here tonight because I'm standing with Kristin Harmel, her diagnosis, and the support for all women to get a mammogram, to make donations to cancer research, to help your friends and encourage them to get theirs done too.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Robson, and I'm the author of Coronation Year, which arrives in bookstores on April 4th. In my novel, which is set in London amid the preparations for Queen Elizabeth's coronation in 1953, my central characters, Edie, Stella, and Jamie, must find the strength to overcome the trauma of World War II and build a hopeful future for themselves. Today, I'm standing with my friend, Kristin Harmel, and encouraging you to make a donation to fund breast cancer research so that women everywhere can continue to build futures full of hope and joy for themselves and their families.
Hi, I'm Hazel Gaynor, author of The Last Lifeboat, which will be publishing this June. In the book, my two main characters, Alice and Lily, are both faced with impossible decisions and have to find courage and strength within themselves to overcome adversity. I'm so proud to stand with my dear friend, Kristin Harmel, and the writing community to come together to support this incredible cause. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jane Green. Sharing a message of gratitude. I am a cancer survivor myself. And when I was diagnosed, which was, gosh, I think it was coming up to 10 years now. I think it was 8 years ago. Isn't it lovely that I've actually lost track? But I immediately found myself plunged into a state of gratitude. And there was a saying that I found that completely changed my life. It is the psychology professor, Robert Emmons, and he is at USC, or he was then, and he said, gratitude is a sustainable approach to life that can be freely chosen for oneself. It is choosing to focus on blessings rather than burdens, on gifts rather than curses, and people report that it transforms their lives. So sending my experience, strength, and hope and love out to you all, especially Kristin. Important to check whether it's mammograms. In my case, it was skin checks, melanoma. Sending love to all.
Thank you, Jane. I just adore her.
Oh, absolutely. And that was such a nice, that was our last video before our last segment. So that, well, we've got a couple like little bonus videos at the end, but our last regularly scheduled video, which is great. And can you believe it, Susan, we've reached the end. It only took us exactly 2 hours to get here. But finally, and there's Leslie, like you told me 8:35, like, why am I still here?
I've been here the whole time. The whole time. It's been fabulous.
Thank you so much, Leslie. We are so glad to introduce you. You are, of course, the prize-winning author of of several novels and most recently of A Boob's Life, How America's Obsession Shaped Me and You, which is now in development as a TV series with Salma Hayek and HBO Max. So Leslie is, among many other things, also a breast cancer survivor. So Leslie, welcome. Can you tell us a bit about finding your own inner strength through your battle with cancer and how this book came to be?
Thank you so much, Kristin. Like you, I was diagnosed with a mammogram, and the tumor was tiny, but it was so fast growing that had I waited, this chair would be empty.
Yeah.
But I'm a Midwestern can-do kind of girl. You know, I figured I'd get really good doctors and follow their orders and I'd be fine. So I did multiple surgeries, and a few months into chemo, I was juggling meds and battling chemo brain and ignoring my fingers bleeding all over the keyboards. And then one day I was in so much pain. It felt like my insides were on fire. And I laid down on the wooden floor, and for the first time, I couldn't do this. I was done. Yeah. I was honestly ready to die. I've never felt that way. And a friend who was visiting saw me, canceled her flight home, called my doctor, who called right back. And I have to say, Kristin, everyone was so nice. The nurses at the hospital were so nice. The other patients were so nice. I mean, even strangers, they seemed to really care. And I felt like I wasn't alone. So when my inner strength was gone, other people filled me up with theirs. Just like this community, they filled me with love, and they didn't need me to be strong or to pretend I was brave. Just to know that I mattered, and I really felt like we were in this together. But I never planned to write about it. I mean, I didn't even keep a journal. So do you want to hear how that happened?
Yes.
I mean, I didn't want to experience any of it. I didn't want to be cancer girl. It was horrific. I was done. I wrote one modern love essay for the New York Times, and that was it, right? So also that part of my brain, that creative part of my brain was gone. I honestly didn't know if I'd write another book. And then a few years later, I was just starting to feel like myself again. My hair was growing back. My husband and I had just moved, and we were planning to celebrate our first truly post-cancer date night. I got out of the shower, looked in the mirror, and I noticed that my boobs were crooked. And I was furious. You know, after all I'd been through, couldn't they at least match? I mean, I knew I shouldn't care. I was really grateful to be alive. I really was, but I did care. And so my husband accused me of being obsessed with breasts. But I was insulted because, like most women, I could track my entire life by my boobs, right? From being a little girl, wanting them, finally getting them and hiding them to get jobs and flaunting them when I was dating and, feeding my children with them, to then having them nearly killed me. And I just needed to know more why this was such a thing. And so that night is when I decided to write A Boob's Life.
That's incredible.
Well, we are glad you're still here, and we're glad you told this story. Because it gives us a chance to announce that this conversation here is not over. We're going to be hosting another Adventures by the Book virtual event on May 9th to celebrate the paperback launch of A Boob's Life, Leslie's book. And at the event, there's going to be Kristin and Jamie Brenner and Laura Zigman, and several other cancer survivors possibly. They're going to be talking about their own cancer journeys, how they discovered how they got cancer, what they experienced, body image, all those things. So they're there to take your questions, to get real with you. It's going to be a powerful event. It's free. You do have to go to our website, Adventures by the Book, and register, though, to make sure you get your Zoom invite. But thank you so much, Leslie. And we appreciate all of you. And I wonder if we can try something really quick before you and I make our final statement, is if we can bring whoever's left in the room back on camera so we can get a photo of whoever's here. So I think I have to invite everyone as a co-host. So give me a moment. If you are able to invite yourself on camera, feel free. If not, I'm working on getting you as a co-host so that we can do that. So give me just a moment, everybody. And then you can get a picture of all our authors. But keep yourself muted if you could, please.
What were you going to say, Leslie?
I was just going to say the event in May is Mother's Day week. So everybody,
that's true.
It's so generous of you and Laura and Jamie to join me and whoever else joins us. And we're going to talk about everything boobs, how it affects us, but bring your mothers and your sisters and your friends, and we'll have a frank, warm discussion and some fun facts and really cover everything boobs. And how to help your friends like Laura was getting into. It's going to be a fun night. So.
And we promise not to go 2+ hours, which we've done tonight.
No.
So.
It'll be a Tuesday night also, and getting ready for Mother's Day. So it'll be good. But thank you so much for having me. And I'm really excited to continue the conversation.
Oh,
thank you. And I've invited everybody that's left to be a co-host, so you can just accept that invite and we can have you on camera if you'd like, so we can get a closing photo before Kristin and I I'll go ahead and if you could keep yourselves muted though, we appreciate that. So Kristin, we did it. What started off as your mission to raise awareness of the importance of mammograms morphed into way more than that. A monstrously amazing demonstration that books do indeed connect people. Thank you to the 1,400 plus of you who have taken your life in your own hands by committing to getting your mammograms. Thank you to the more than 70 authors who have selflessly given of their time to show their support of a fellow author. Thanks to all of you who donated to Kristin's Susan G. Komen fundraising page, which, by the way, is not closed yet. We will send you those links once again after the event. Thanks to Susan G. Komen for the work they do to support and educate women about breast cancer. Thanks to the hundreds of you who have pre-ordered books from us. We look forward to donating 20% of all event book sales all through March to Susan G. Komen. But more importantly, we are standing with our literary friend Kristin and shouting to the world, we are all stronger than we think. You guys all know Kristin as an international and New York Times bestselling author and co-host and co-founder of the enormously popular Friends in Fiction. But I hope now you know a little bit more about her personally, because she is brave, she's selfless, she's strong, she's utterly inspirational. And Kristin, I want to know from you how it feels knowing that your courageous decision to take your breast cancer experience public has inspired over 70 authors to offer up their support, more than 1,400 readers to get their mammograms, and knowing you probably have saved lives tonight.
Well, I feel like I'm going to pinch myself and wake up from this because, like, surely this is a dream, right? I mean, this has just been such a beautiful evening. I'm so. Someone earlier mentioned the why in all of this, and this is the why. I mean, I think bad things happen to us along the way. And it's up to us how we respond to those bad things. And I hope that I hope I've made the right response here. I hope this has been something that's been good. And I hope that for the vast majority out there of you who do not have breast cancer yet, and who don't feel that this message applies to you yet, I hope you remember to go get your mammogram. I hope you remember these things, can happen, but in the meantime, other difficult things are going to happen along the way. And I hope you've been reminded tonight that we all have this strength. I mean, we have this strength through friends. We have this strength, I see Mary Alice on the screen, through nature and through connecting with the world. We have this strength through picking each other up. And I think every time you do a good deed and lift up a friend and lift up other women, you're just kind of filling that inner bank, and it's going to serve you well. So, so go out and do good things. And thanks for being here. And for me, a huge, huge thank you to Susan Macbeth, Debbie, Amber, the whole Adventures by the Book team, to the more than 70 best-selling authors who spent their time supporting us tonight with videos and live appearances, to the folks at Susan G. Komen, and to all of you who showed up to celebrate the strength within us all. If there's anything you take away from tonight, I hope it's this: you are stronger than you know, and you owe it to yourself to stay up to date with mammograms and other screenings that can save your life. Do not forget that message. Now, stay tuned for the most important reminder of all. Thank you again, Susan. Thanks everyone who's here. And thank you so much, everyone, for being with us.
Thank you, Kristin, for your courage.
Hi friends, Christy Whitson Harvey here, reminding you to schedule your mammogram in honor of my dear friend, Kristin Harmel.
Now go schedule your mammogram. It might save your life, just like it saved mine.
Hi, everybody. Mary Kay Andrews here with an important message. I'm here to remind everybody to get your mammogram. Take care of your girls so that your girls can take care of you.
Schedule your mammogram, you guys. It is so important.
Schedule your mammogram. And if you're not due for one yet, talk to your doctor about getting a clinical breast exam.
My mother lost her best friend to breast cancer, and I lost my mother to cancer. Both were nurses. Please, I urge you, our mothers, grandmothers, sisters, best friends, and caregivers to schedule your mammogram today and to stay up to date on all of your recommended screenings. They save lives.
Schedule your mammogram.
Don't forget to schedule your mammogram today.
Schedule your mammogram.
Schedule your mammogram.
Schedule your mammogram. Hey, schedule that mammogram. It's important because you're important.
Schedule that mammogram now.
Schedule your mammogram.
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 Schedule that mammogram now.
Schedule your mammogram.
Schedule your mammogram.
Schedule your mammogram.
Go get a mammogram.
My breast cancer was found early and was therefore very treatable because I went in for my annual mammogram. Please schedule yours now. The life you save today could be your own.
Thank you for joining us, everyone, and continued healing and prayers to you, Kristin, as you complete your journey so that we can celebrate you when your book launches in June. Thank you, everyone, and good
Susan.
night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night, everybody.